Baal Hadad is Yahweh's biggest rival, but the only thing we ever hear about him is pejorative stories from the Bible, and that's all one-sided. So I'm hoping to give a little bit of inside information that will give you some dimension on who Baal Hadad really is. An ancient storm, fertility, and war god that was so popular in ancient Canaan that at one time he was simply known as Baal. Today, the common motif we'll be talking about is windows in the firmament. Many of us are familiar with the Great Deluge. In the Bible specifically, it says that the firmament, because the ancients believed that we lived in a domed earth, so a flat earth with a firmament or a space between the waters here on the earth and the waters above. And in this dome, there's windows. And Yahweh controls those windows. And what comes through those windows? Well, water, obviously, the Great Deluge. And the other video I just put out the other day was about Yam Nehar, the sea judge or water judge. And Yahweh is now in control because he fought this chaos dragon, if you will, and now he is in control. So he is the one to tell the waters when they're going to come and when they're going to recede. Similarly, with Baal Hadad, when he becomes king over the earth, when he becomes Prince Baal, he gets a not only a throne built for him, but also a temple, which is basically you have to go through specific types of rituals in order to become the high god. If you don't have a throne, if you don't have a wife, if you don't have a temple, then you're not really a high god. You're not really in control. Like, people are going to see you as an inferior god. So when Baal becomes Lord of the earth, he gets his temple, he gets his throne, he gets his celebrations, his festivals. But before all this happens, Baal Hadad fights Yam, just as Yahweh did. And after he defeats him, he is now entitled to get his throne, to get his temple. In order to do so, though, he first asks the help of his sister, Anat, and she obliges. So they oblige. She obliges. Yes. And they proceed to go to Kothar Wahasis if he will create some gifts that they can take together to Atherat, to ask Atherat or Asherah, the wife of Elohai God, if she will beseech the high God for them in order to get, am I making this story too long? To get the throne, the temple that Baal Hadad deserves. So they take these gifts, this goblet, this table with all these intricate designs, gold, luxury, sandals, you name it, high quality. Kothar Wahasis could produce it, and they took these gifts to Atherat Ashira. She eyes up these gifts, and she is like loving them. They're gorgeous, beautiful. I mean, when she first sees them coming to her, she's afraid that they're actually going to do something to harm her, or there's bad news afoot. But she's so super happy when she realizes, oh no, they're actually bringing gifts. So she's pretty relieved. And when they ask her for, her help, to ask El, hey, can we get this temple built for Baal? She's like, yeah, sure. No probs, Bobs. She gets on her horse. Her helpers, I forget their name, Kadesh Amrar, which just means holy and bright, something to that extent, or holy and strong, loads her up on the horse. They're kind of lighting the way, almost like a star, you can imagine. And, she's following along till they get to the source of the two rivers. This is a long story. They get to the source of the two rivers, which is where El lives. He greets her. He asks her if she's hungry, if she needs anything. He actually asks her if she's horny, and that's why she's there. So he's a very gracious host to his wife. And he's happy. He's laughing when he sees her. He's like, his face lights up. It's such a cute little moment between the couple, power couple. And she's like, no. I'm good. I'm not here for that. Take a chill pill, broski. The reason I'm coming to you is because Baal Hadad, rightfully so, is now the ruler. Baal Hadad is now entitled to his throne, to his temple. And she's asking El for permission. Can this be built? And El's like, yeah, but what, you expect me to do the labor? What do I look like? Are you supposed to do the labor? What do you look like? Are you going to get your hands dirty? Sure, but go ask Kothar Wahasis to do it, which is, of course, what you would do because he is the craftsman, alchemist god. Kothar-Wahasis has a conversation with Baal Hadad. And he says, hey, Baal Hadad, you're the controller of the rains. You are the mighty storm god. You carry a lightning bolt in your hand. Do you want me to put a window in your palace? A window in your temple for which the waters will be able to come through? And at first, Baal Hadad is like, that's going to be a no for me. That's going to be a nope skis. I don't want a window because then Yam Nahor might sneak on through. Something might happen to my daughters, Taleh and Arse and Pidre. He has like 4 daughters. So he's worried that if there's windows in his palace, that something could happen to him, to his family, or to the people on earth. So he's like, no, we're not going to do that. But he's still all gassed up. Like he's gassed up to hell because he's gotten everything he wants at this point. He is now the hot shit. So he goes out and he starts murking people like through the valleys. Like he's just kind of going out town to town, city to city with all of his henchmen. And they're just like, oh, you thought that I was going to be the one to nope, boom, it's you. It just, kind of went like that just all throughout. That's, what a war god does. He kind of had to lay them all flat to prove a point. You shouldn't have doubted me. So after he gets back from all that revelry and of murdering people, listen, don't judge him. That's, his people needed him to do so, just like Yahweh's people wanted to see him murdering people too, right? They wanted to see him as powerful. So don't judge. So after he gets back from this little jaunt, this little stroll, again, Kothar-Wahasis approaches him and says, hey, broski, are you sure that you don't want a window in the palace? Like, don't you want to have control over what happens? You see you hear what I'm saying here? You picking up what I'm putting down? And Paul's like, you were right. My bad. I actually do want you to put a window into the palace. I do want to have control. I am powerful. I'm not worried any longer. He's got his strength back. For a while he was feeling kind of down. He had a lot on his plate. He had Yam Nahar after him, and then all of Yam Nahar's cohorts were also after him. It was just like a lot of hullabaloo for a while for him. So he's feeling good about himself. So the windows are now put into the temple. He can now control when the rains come and when they go, and he's not worried any longer. So this ancient theme of a higher god being able to bring rains that basically provide sustenance for the people was a pretty common theme in the Swana region. Something else that I forgot to add is the word that is used for window is the same word in Hebrew, or it has the same consonants, I should say. RBT is also used for lattice or window. I think they called it a sluicer, which is basically just a sliding gate that's used to hold back waters of sorts. English. Let's read this little portion of the Baal myth cycle where Kothar-Wahasis and Baal Hadad are interacting, and Kothar is asking Baal about this window. All right, so we are in the Baal cycle of myths, and at this point, Baal Hadad is super duper geeked out because he's getting everything that he deserves. And Kothar-Wahasis is now on the scene with him, and they're going to discuss his mansion or his palace, his temple. Afterwards, Kothar-Wahasis did arrive. They did set an ox before him, a fatling too in front of him. They made ready a seat, and he was seated on the right hand of mightiest Baal. And if you noticed here, this is Alion, which is mighty or almighty, a title that we've heard before of El Elyon. So we see here, it's also a title used for Baal. Anyway, on the right hand of mightiest Baal, while the gods did eat and drink, and mightiest Baal addressed him, saying, oh, also I should tell you that there are large portions of the Baal cycle that are missing and damaged, unfortunately. So that is why you see those brackets. And mightiest Baal addressed him, saying, depart, Kothar-Wahasis, hasten and surely build a mansion. Hasten and raise a palace. Quickly let the mansion be built. Quickly let the palace be raised. Within the recesses of Zaphon, let the house cover 1,000 tract, the palace 10,000 spaces. That's a big ass palace. And Kothar Wahasas answered, Hear, O mightiest Baal, consider, O rider on the clouds. From the last video, we discussed rider on the clouds, a title for Baal Hadad, also used for Yahweh. Or I should say that Yahweh eventually absorbs or takes on that epithet. Hear, O mightiest Baal, consider, O rider on the clouds, shall I not put a lattice in the mansion, a window in the midst of the palace? But mightiest Baal answered, Do not put a lattice in the mansion, a window in the midst of the palace. And Kothar Wahasas answered, You will come back to my words, Baal. Kothar and Hassas did repeat his speech. Hear, I beseech you, O mightiest Baal, shall I not put a lattice in the mansion, a window in the midst of the palace? But mightiest Baal did answer, Do not put a lattice in the mansion, a window in the midst of the palace, lest Pidre, daughter of mist, escape, lest Talay, daughter of showers, lest the darling of El, Yam, something, 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 and now he's discussing how Yam abased him and spit upon him, because Yam and Baal have this rivalry, just as Yam and Yahweh have that rivalry. There's also another little tidbit. I hope I don't forget. Don't forget the tidbit. Okay. And Kothar Wahasas answered, You will come back to my words, Baal. Quickly his mansion was built. Quickly his mansion was built. Quickly his palace was raised. Men went to Lebanon and its trees, to Syrian and its choicest cedars. They did Lebanon and its trees, Syrian and its choicest cedars. And similarly, the cedars of Lebanon and Syrian are mentioned in the Bible and used for Yahweh's temple. Fire was set in the mansion, flames in the palace. Behold, a day and a second. The fire consumed in the mansion, the flames in the palace. A third, a fourth day, the fire consumed in the mansion, the flames in the palace. A fifth, a sixth day, the fire consumed in the mansion, the flames in the midst of the palace. Then on the seventh day, the fire escaped from the mansion, the flames from the palace. The silver had turned into plates. The gold had been turned into bricks. So you get this imagery almost of Kothar Wahasas, like in this alchemist kind of, not rage, but just like moving so fastly and in the fire. What do they call it? Where like the smiths work, forge is the word that I'm looking for. And a friendly reminder, if I haven't told you recently, that Kothar Wahasas is considered an ambidextrous god, which is why I'm imagining him double fisting, doing all this work. And the fact that it's 7 days, there's probably something holy. Numbers had significance and some symbolic meanings back then. So 7 days this creation of this temple lasts. Then on the seventh day, the fire escaped from the mansion, the flames from the palace. The silver had turned into plates, the gold had been turned into bricks. The mightiest Baal did rejoice, saying, I have built my mansion of silver, my palace of gold. Baal put his mansion in order. Hadad did put his palace in order. And notice how Baal and Hadad, throughout this, it's basically just synonymous in the Baal cycle. Okay. So the silver had turned into plates. I already read that. Baal put his mansion in order. Hadad did put his palace in order. He did slay oxen, also sheep. He did fell bulls and fatted rams, yearling calves, skipping lambs and kids. He did call his brothers into his mansion, his kinsfolk into the midst of his palace. He did call the 70 sons of Atherat. So there is Asherah, also known as Atherat and Uri. The 70 sons of Atherat are also mentioned in the Bible, but not in the same way. It's obscured. The 70 sons is mentioned, but we don't know that they're attributed to the goddess Asherah. And Elohim. El lives at the source of the rivers amid the springs of the two oceans. And the last video, I told you about the saltwater, Apsu, and the freshwater, Tiamat, that the earth basically was created from. Marduk split Tiamat in two and clamshell, and she became like the dome or something of that nature. So this is a memory of El now sitting over top of these great waters. I was trying to think of how to word this. So cosmically, El is situated over that old preservation of the fresh and salt waters of what our very existence is made from, while Baal Hadad currently is fighting against the active force that we have to face in our daily lives when it comes to flooding or droughts, etc. Just like with Yahweh, in the Bible, there's several scriptures where he is now situated over the watery deep, or the T-home, which again is a preservation of a much older Swana region myth. Contextually, it would be a very familiar theme for many people. I'm going to try to wrap this up here. So while many people have this idea of Baal Hadad as evil, as a demon, as someone who required child sacrifice to him, this other side shows you that sometimes he was careful. He was thoughtful. He had an active threat against him, which was Yam Nehar, as well as Mont, the god of death. So he was always in a cycle. He was in a perpetual cycle of the fighting and the warring and the bringing of peace and fertility to the land, of celebrations, and then starting the whole process all over again, the dying, the rising. He had to be on his toes at all times. Who can he trust? Sheesh, I really did not mean for this video to go on for so long. Hopefully I can cut a lot of this out or maybe speed it up. Let me know if you all enjoy. Did I not explain something very good? Because there's a possibility I get so overly excited that I kind of just skip through things. If anything was at all confusing, leave a comment, ask me a question. If you're interested in reading these Ugaritic texts for yourselves, I will leave a link in the description. Free books. So, the information is there if you're interested. Nobody's trying to shove anything down your throat. I'm just trying to give you another side, a softer side of Baal Hadad that so many people are opposed to hearing just because they hear his name and they shut their mind off and their teeny little butthole starts going because they're afraid. They hear so many negative things about him from the Bible and Christians who like to rant and rage. Meanwhile, Yahweh was the one killing his son. Yahweh was the one asking Abraham to kill his son. Yahweh was the one who allowed Jephthah to kill his daughter. And I could just go on and on and on. On that note, I love you guys. I hope you are just as interested in Canaanite mythology as I am. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Pickle, come here. Say bye. I love you. I love you. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. Good.